Right, this is Aaron Squire doing some deck building with you guys again. I'm gonna hit it up here, right? Alright, we're gonna start off with some corrections from last time. Deck analysis, talking about some of the new cards that were released this week. Also, talking about the Hex community at large, some sportsmanship, and then we'll sign off, hopefully get some people in chat and do the questions of the night. So let's move it on here. Alright. Alright, first things, let's go ahead and get the... So we're going to start off actually with some corrections from last time. So start off with Reddit. Somebody corrected last time when I was talking about the really expensive 6-drop that I said was going to be a 30-30 because it counted every human in your deck, and that was its power and toughness, and that was going to stay permanent. It is actually every 3 humans. So thanks for that correction. The other one is the troops that die when with the Vampire King out you don't actually get those troops. You just get 2/2 flying vampires. So that's a big mistake on my part. I kind of got it confused with Olivia Voldaren, who actually does similar things in Magic. She deals damage to something and then adds the vampire type to it. So I thought that it was adding a type to it. So there you go, reading for the win. So make sure you're reading the full card, or RTFC. Another thing, going to a couple weeks ago, my deck building post here, someone basically was talking about, let's see here, yeah, Vampire King again. That was pretty much the same thing. Multicolored resource is common. So that I didn't know that the bottom of the card actually showed its rarity. So the white on the bottom of the card would mean that the multicolored resource called the Shards of Fate is actually a common card, which actually it makes a lot of sense to me because it's very, very similar to Evolving Wilds from Magic. So and that is also a common card, and it deck thins, which makes it a little bit different. Of course, it's a completely different game. So with some similar mechanics. Going to the Hex at Gen Con. Going through it here. So it wasn't like a big deal. I had someone that basically, we're going to talk about this a little bit later in the program. They're talking about how it was that Hex is like 700% funded, but they're not producing the game 7 times faster. And that seems kind of silly to me, that you would expect a company that has the best people on board already to make a game faster simply because you paid them more money. It's not like some sort of RTS where it is that you can just spend some more money and then rush something to development. And we want to make sure we get a good polished product. It's really coming fast enough for me because it's going to be the end of the month. We're going to see Hex. All of us alpha people are going to be able to test Hex. Make sure to get the word out. We've got slacker backer options still available. This is going to be an awesome time to be playing. There's going to be some bugs, but you're going to have the entire Hex alpha collection at your disposal during this time period, and then they're going to wipe the servers and when we go to beta. So that's going to segue us. I had a comment where someone was talking about so Vanguarded 102 says, I guess in general talking about troops as a resource like a sack interactions with blood /shin Hare, and the art side of it would probably make for I don't know, he's saying arty side of it would, I guess he's talking about the the actual resource side of it would probably make for a good, So I went ahead and took that. I went ahead and made a Hare deck here. So we're gonna go ahead and maximize this. Make sure I maximize the right window. Okay, we're gonna maximize this, and we'll zoom in a little bit here so we can see things a little bit better. Let's see how that looks. That looks pretty good. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Alright, make it as big as possible for you people at home. And yeah, we'll just run this through. So basically the idea was I was going to use a lot of the sack mechanics in this and try to make something that is going to be decently viable. It's mostly aggro. You can see here, starting off, the mana curve is pretty nice and low. I've got a nice top end at 4, which I was pretty happy with. I could get a nice 4 drop in there. So we'll just start heading through it. So starting off, Blood Cauldron Ritualist. This guy is really pretty awesome. He can only be a 4/4 when you're going to sack something to him. It says sacrifice another troop, which is important. We're going to talk about that in a couple minutes. But you can be a 4/4. You can do it during right after blockers are declared, so you can either trade or get some good value out of them as long as you have good sack outlets in this deck, which we built in. He does cost 3, but he's only 1 blood resource, so that makes him pretty good. We went with 8 blood resources because our curve is a little bit more wild than blood. Our wild resources, if we go down here, we're 10. We also have 4 shards of fate, of course, because we're running the 2 colors, and it's the only multicolor resource we have now. I'm pretty excited about shards of fate because it's going to let me play the ruby, diamond humans with inspire triggers. So I can only fit 1 Bone Warrior in here, and he's not a Hare, and that's the reason why I only ran the 1. But the nice interaction between him and the Blood Cauldron Ritualist that we just saw is you can sack him every turn as long as you have the resources to replay him, because he's going to turn into that pile of bones, and then you can reanimate the pile of bones and just keep sacrificing it. As long as the mechanics work the way I think that they do, where it says when he dies, you get to transform him. So as long as sacking still works the same way as dying in other games, then we should be fine. We should be online with that here. Oh, you got crying. All right, I think we're through the. Hopefully we're through the crying fits. Also, I'm a father of 2, if anybody was wondering, with 1 on the way. So hopefully, if you see me not on for a couple of weeks, you should know that I'm probably in the middle of taking care of the newborn. So some of you fathers out there, I'm sure can empathize, and then everyone else that's probably single is like, what is this guy doing? Anyways, moving on. Bucktooth Commander is an automatic choice, obviously, for the Hare deck. He's going to buff all the Hare. Another reason why we only take 1 Bone Warrior is because he doesn't really interact with the Bucktooth Commander. He's going to buff everybody. So the big thing I looked at with this deck is I wanted to have Anthem effects, and Anthem effects refer to anything that gives everything +1/+1, referring to an old Magic card called Glorious Anthem. So that is when we talk about Anthem effects, that's what that's referring to specifically. So moving on, I wanted to have Anthem effects that were going to stay in play. So Bucktooth Commander is one of those, of course, unless your opponent removes it from play. Then we've got, I considered running 4 Evolve for quite a while, but the thing is, once I play Evolve, if I play another creature, he doesn't benefit from it, whereas with Bucktooth Commander you do. So I only play in the 1. Another thing is that it's really not so great about Evolve is it's a basic action. It really needs to be a quick action for it to be decently playable, because then I can get some nice combat tricks going on. But right now, as a basic action, it's not worth me playing more than 1. 9 Anthem effects in a deck is quite a lot. So where's my other Anthem effects? My other 4 is going to be in this command tower. Now I'm not going to get the back end that I got, but all of my troops are going to be a little bit bigger on the front end front end being the attack ratios there. And that's really what it is I'm looking for, to make sure I'm pushing through lots of aggro damage as quickly as possible. And this will take effect every turn, even if I'm playing a creature after the fact. So that is why I'm playing this over lots and lots of Evolve. The other thing is they both cost 3. Like, you could have made a little bit more of a case for me if Evolve cost 2. But because it costs 3 and the command tower costs 3 and this stays in play, and this basically you use it, it's a one shot and it's not a combat trick, that made the command tower a lot sweeter for me. Running the singleton concubunny basically gives us more battle hoppers, more sacks that I can use. I wanted to run more than just the one, but I just couldn't fit it in. I have to, I mean, doing some play testing with this, I might start upping the totals to see how much better I could do if I'm running more. But right now, the concubunny by itself is a buff, just like command tower and evolve. It's not gonna do much more than chump block something by itself. So that's why I'm only running the singleton concubunny. It's going to buff all my sack outlets, so I didn't see running more than one being very valuable to me. Although I suppose with the command tower out, she becomes a 1/1. But yeah, it just seemed like there were better things to do for 3 mana. Of course, the obligatory murder. We're in blood, so we're going to run murder. It's only 1 blood, so I mean, best removal in the game right now has been revealed. It's a quick action. We can use it in combat. We can make when our opponent's double blocking our creature, we can make that into a possible 2-for-1, killing one of their creatures, and then hopefully our creature will survive killing the other creature in some situations. Rune Ear Commander, moving on to him. He's got that rage. This is probably one of the better 1-drops that you have available to you as a Shin Hare. He's going to get out of control quickly if your opponent doesn't respond to him, and there's some decks that really aren't. So this is a nice card to have in play. Also, if you know your opponent's playing control and they're going to be sweeping the board, you can just start like swinging in with this guy and then hold on to some of your aggro cards, so that way they have to sweep you a second time. It's very difficult as a control player to sweep someone more than 2 times in a single game a lot of times. It's very, very difficult. It can be very difficult. Runs to the litter. This is obvious. This is going to be mostly a resource, and then hopefully when we get our Anthem effects online, we can make those 0/1 battle hoppers into something a little bit bigger and aggro through, and then maybe even make them a little bit bigger and push more damage through. But most of the time we're going to probably be using these as sacks for our 2 sack creatures that are in the deck. Sensei the Milky Eye, this is one I went from 4 down to 3 on. He's a cantrip, he's a 1/1. Cantrip is basically harkening back to, again, another Magic term where when something comes into play, it draws you a card. Sensei the Milky Eye is going to be pretty good for a combo or something you're trying to draw through, and he's not really negative cards in your hand. I mean, he does cost 2. We've seen cards like this in Magic. It seems pretty strong. I mean, we can buff him. That's the best part compared to some of the other cards that we've seen in Magic. He works very much more synergistically with the whole Shin Hare theme because we can buff him. Shards of Fate, we talked about that because we're in 2 colors. The Eulogist, not as good as the other one. Well, no, actually, it's a different thing. We need to be able to have things die to buff the Eulogist. So actually, the Eulogist is pretty good. This is probably going to be the biggest creature in the deck once things start dying. We also have Murder to help out with that. We talked about our wild sources, and then Wretched Blood was a tough decision for me. How many of these to run? I could easily see you going up to 3 if you felt a little risky. We don't have a whole lot of life gain in the deck, and you are making 0/1s, which don't pose a threat by themselves. They really need to be buffed. So hopefully you have, again, some of those Anthem effects online, and that's going to push through that extra damage that you have. I really didn't think too much about sideboard stuff. It would be nice. The creators of Hex Datamine, I would really like to see a couple of things from you guys in the future. Some more functionality on the site. I would love to see certain things. And the first thing is, I would like to have the option of creating a sideboard for my deck. That's the very first thing. I need to be able to have that up when I post my deck. It's very important to me to have that. Second thing I would love to have is something they have on TCGplayer.com, and I'll just show you a quick demo of that real quick. Let's pull up TCG Player here. Alright, Magic the Gathering, where is it? MTG, there it is. And so TCG Player has, allows you to build decks up to like, well, a couple of them. But the best thing about TCG Player, and this probably won't be as big of a deal with like other once it is that we actually get the client online, because you'll be able to test your deck against the computer. You'll be able to PvE with it and do other stuff. And we don't want to hear that guy. Can we skip this? Let's skip it. All right, awesome. All right, come on, give me the deck. I wanted to just show me a deck so I can show it. All right, so you click on Solitaire this deck, and this gives you this awesome interface, and it allows you to solo the deck and kind of goldfish the deck. Goldfish is basically when you take a deck and you're going to play it as if I've seen some footage of people playing Magic Workshop, a workstation, but I believe that's probably offline right now. But here you can see, like in this, it allows me to play my resources. I can tap them if I want to. I can untap them. I have to do everything manually, and then in physical sense, I can have some dice sit on my table, and I can keep track of the life total in front of me, and then I can actually play a deck next to it as if they're playing against each other. And it does give you the thing, the actual cards and the text. You don't really need pictures to play this way, but I would absolutely love to see this kind of functionality in the Hex TCG data mine. I would love to have the ability to do this in there if anyone from there is watching the show. So let's go ahead and zoom out of this. So that is pretty much the deck there. I think it'll be decent, probably not amazing, but it does use those sack outlets. It'll be interesting to see how much damage you could push through, how quickly. It's got that aggro, it's got some of the removal that is nice to have in there, and a little bit of combat tricks. So I think it's going to be pretty decent overall. Moving on to the card previews for this month. We'll go ahead and zoom this in a little bit. There we go. So first one, Cerebral Fulmination. Start of each champion's turn, they draw an additional card. Seems like a really decent card, especially if you're running an aggro deck. You're going to be able to draw some more cards, hopefully some more burn, especially with, and I keep forgetting the name of it now, it's not burn, it's, I forget, I keep forgetting, but basically it deals 2 damage, then it doubles, and it throws more cards in your deck. Cards like that are going to be, it's going to be nice to draw those, top deck them, and then push through the final damage you need. Life gain is probably not going to be super popular at the beginning of this, and in fact, red deck is going to be very, very strong, is what everyone's predicting. Let's look at we got Spear of Mind Detonation. Sacrifice a constant, deal damage to target champion equal to the number of cards in their hand. So, yeah, again, just pushing through more damage with that. And then Breastplate of Saga City? Saga City, maybe. Saga City. When an opposing champion plays a card, they draw a card. An opposing champion that plays a card, they draw a card. So I guess that's trying to basically get your opponent to draw all their cards and then lose that way. So that's the other thing I guess you would try to do with this. It's colored card. It's double threshold, so that's not as good. We've obviously seen this in Magic with a Howling Mine is the classic example. The biggest problem you're going to have with this card is as soon as you play it, you don't get to draw the first card. You give your opponent the chance to draw the first card. So it may not see a ton of play, but I could see it maybe as a 1 of or a 2 of main deck in some sort of deck that's just trying to burn someone's face and not care about anything else that's going on. Maybe, but it probably won't see a whole lot of play. As far as constructed in limited, even then it's like you're giving cards to your opponent, which isn't normally that great. Moving on, Sadistic Castigator. It's got flight, which is always nice. It's got nice body to throw on the field. 3/4 for 6 with 3 threshold is kind of high. He'll be a nice bomb, I think, in limited. If you're already in, and we already seen that blood is has got some decent stuff. When an opposing champion draws a card, they reveal it and deal damage to them equal to that card's cost. So this kind of screams control to me as a nice bomb, possibly. I'm still not sure I would use it over the Black Dragon or some of the other options like the Necromancer or whatever his name was, the Vampire King. I don't think I would necessarily use him over the Vampire King. I mean, the Vampire King has flight. The Vampire King's probably better, and I believe he's cheaper too. So let's look at the PvE equipment. If he's revealed, if the revealed card is an action, it gets permanent cost +3. Now that's pretty awesome, especially for the control player. So that makes it much more of a control-y card in that PvE aspect. So it seems to be a little bit better for PvE. If the reveal card is a troop, it gets permanent cost +3. So same thing on both of these. So if, say, you're playing against some deck that isn't really playing with ramp in some sort of PvE situation, that would be excellent if you're trying to control the match and just control it out. So pretty good cards this week. Like the art on both of them, especially like this Fulmination. Going on to the some of the Vanity Cards. We had the update here. The very first Vanity card is this image right here. It's basically a pirate. This gentleman basically he says he basically gave it to as a gift to her, and she really liked that. So points scored all around there. It's going to be a nice looking card. You know, pirates. Who doesn't like pirates, right? Doesn't too much else that really. I guess there's going to be a pre-alpha stream, and it doesn't. Does it talk to us about it? See you again next week, same bat time. So it's just releasing all that stuff. Oh, it does talk about Dragon Con, which is now over, and just giving a plug to Hex Vault. They had apparently a video collection you can watch if you go to the Kickstarter page. And of course the card spoilers we already looked at. So moving on, just talk about the Hex community. Just segue this to the Hex community. We've got a lot of great people in the community right now, but I am seeing a little bit of pushback from certain other people. So it's just our job to get out there and make sure it is that you're promoting Hex, telling people about it. If you're at your hobby shop or whatever, just go ahead and tell people about the game, talk it up. So, oh, moving on. It's just let's be a positive community moving forward. That's all I'm really saying. So another interesting article I read this week was one that Travis Wu put out, talking about basically sportsmanship and shuffling, and this really won't. The shuffling portion won't specifically apply to us, as all the shuffling is done by the game. However, we will have to. You know, there probably will be some sort of chat functionality in the game, and so. Sportsmanship is just an important part of gameplay, and it's something that I see that we're losing a lot recently in online gameplay, because when we're online, people become less human to us. So that is an unfortunate thing that's going on. It's one of the reasons why I kind of quit playing League of Legends, because it was just too caustic for me. People were taking it too personally, and also it just really sucked to spend 45 minutes with people that were just going to have a negative attitude the whole time. So yeah, I mean, sportsmanship is kind of a big thing. I mean, you can't really control the other players, but you can control yourself at the end of the day. So I'm just saying, everybody out there that is going to be playing online, let's try to keep it professional and not get too personally invested. The thing I used to talk to people about all the time was that, you know, some nights are your night and some nights are not. I can play the same deck week after week and own people and get in the top four or finish out the tournament and do really well for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden week 4 or 5 and I hit a slump. I'm not getting the draws that I need, or I just hit a bad matchup or something, or maybe I didn't side properly, or maybe I'm tired. There are a lot of things that go into it, and sometimes, given the nature of a random card game, you're not always going to win every game. It's just how it is. And so the thing it is that you can control is, first of all, your attitude, and then the second thing is how many misplays you have at the end of the night. So I would keep track of that. If you're really going to look at something and try to gauge your performance, don't necessarily always look at how well the deck performed. Look at the number of misplays that you have. It's another good positive thing that I have by recording my games and being able to watch them over again and realize all the different things that I'm doing wrong and try to become a better player in the future. And that's what we all want to do. Obviously, everyone wants to be a pro or get to the top tiers, or at least the competitive people do. And the best way you can do that is by keeping your cool and not raging out there. That's another thing that plays into it. If you've seen a lot of my casts, my sign-off line where I just say, try not to rage too much out there, because it really doesn't do anyone any good. It might make the other person angry, but more than likely, it's probably just going to get you pissed off for the rest of the night, and possibly longer, which we don't want to have. So it looks like I don't have anyone in my channel yet again. I'm sorry for all of the interruptions and all the loud children in the background. Hopefully you can forgive me for that. But yeah, we're just moving on. 8 o'clock next week I'm going to be on doing my cast again. Got done pretty quickly this week, so I'm pretty happy with that. We kind of steamrolled through a bunch of different things. Again, 8 o'clock on Thursdays, you have the Hex TCG Pro podcast, which you can get on Shaggy TV. If you go to the Twitch TV, if you're watching me on Twitch TV, it's the link is right there. And then if you're on YouTube, then go over to Twitch TV and check us out there. So yeah, again, this is Aaron Squire saying God bless you and your families, and try not to rage too much out there.